Hello, thank you all for being with us today to talk about how ESPN and La Liga are bringing Spanish soccer closer to a North American audience. Just to give you some background, in May of last year, ESPN and La Liga formed a partnership, a new rights agreement to bring every single La Liga Santander game to ESPN Plus. That's 380 games per season, all of which are in English and in Spanish. And each season, select games as well are being aired across ESPN networks as well. My name is Kay Murray. It is an honor and a privilege to be part of ESPN's broadcast team for La Liga. I've covered the league since 2006, and I can tell you in those 16 years, I have never done so on this magnitude. So we're going to give you some of the ins and outs and talk to you about the efforts that La Liga and ESPN are using to bring this league closer to the North American audience. And to do so, I have alongside me, I'm delighted to have alongside me, the CEO of La Liga North America, Boris Gartner, also a Senior VP of ESPN Programming, Tim Bunnell. Now, we want to take as much time as we can to talk about this, so we're going to get straight into it and ask the questions and bring you the information that you need to know about this panel today. So, Boris, I will start with you. In broad strokes, what does the North American market represent for La Liga from a growth standpoint?
So just to start and to level set, the US is the largest and most important market for La Liga outside of Spain. It currently is, and it currently has, as we see it, the highest growth potential of any other market. It's a priority for us. We've been operating an office since 2018 because we see that opportunity and we want to do things in the right way. For all of us that live here and do business in this market, we understand how complex and competitive it is, and there's no other way to do it in the right way that being in market, and in this case, we are a great partner that's committed to grow the league with you.
I'd just like to follow up on that because this is a much longer than usual deal. As I mentioned at the top, it is an 8-year deal between the two parties. What does this 8-year agreement mean for La Liga North America?
So the first thing is that we don't see this as a media rights deal. This is a partnership, and we got into the conversations early on, and it's, the common theme day in and day out about being a partnership. The 8-year term was a deliberate commitment between both partners to allow us to grow the league and grow in general the sport here in the US, which we're both committed to as well, more than just coming in, doing a deal, extracting value and leaving.
Tim, let's talk more about ESPN Plus. It's a leader in the soccer space. Why was La Liga, as a football league, so appealing for ESPN?
Well, I think first and foremost, obviously La Liga is one of the marquee sports, one of the marquee leagues in the world of soccer. And I think, with all of the star players, the marquee club brands, the classic rivalries, it made perfect sense for us to try to tap into that. I guess all you had to see was Benzema's heroics with Real Madrid last week against PSG in the Champions League to see the kind of star power that the league brings. And you've got up-and-coming stars, Vinny Jr., like the whole thing. It's a perfect property for us from a quality perspective. We also have more of a local hook that with some of the Mexican national and U.S. national team stars that play in the league, Sergiño Dest, and Andres Guardado, we were able to kind of tap into that and make it more relevant for us. More generically, I think, it's the fact that it's exclusive, that all 380 matches for Liga Santander will be on ESPN Plus. It's in one place. It's a clean proposition for the consumer, made it attractive. And the fact that we have rights in English and Spanish may seem like kind of an academic thing, but the way a lot of soccer rights are sold in the U.S., they often split the two. And I think for us, this property plays so well in both spheres that it was really important to have both of them. And it generally is across the board, but for this one particularly. And then lastly, what Boris already touched on, the 8-year deal for us is, and you're right, it's a partnership. We always talk about these so transactionally where it's kind of in and out. But, soccer rights deals, particularly European rights deals, are often shorter term, 3 years or so, and that just doesn't give us enough time, particularly when ESPN Plus, which is the kind of engine of this, is on the cusp of development. It doesn't give enough time to really do what we need to do with it. So we're happy to be in for the long term, developing the partnership and growing La Liga on ESPN Plus.
And on the other side of that then, Boris, what does a partner like ESPN bring to La Liga?
So there's a couple aspects. I think the first one and the most obvious one is the Disney family. When you have the power of the Disney platform across ESPN, ABC, etc., and you're plugged into that, and you have your property, being a key part of the company's strategy, I think you could not ask for anything better. There's a couple, other points that are really important, specifically on the broadcast side of things, and Tim alluded to it. The fact that for a fan, to watch a La Liga game is pretty simple. You buy ESPN Plus, you get all the games. You're not having to play, a Rubik's Cube of finding, this weekend is my match here or not. I understand that, again, each deal is different and it has its specificities. For us, that was key. You are a super fan of La Liga, you pay ESPN Plus, it's there. And then, of course, you have the opportunities to get some of the other matches on linear, but the way that we see it, that's more opportunistic to grab more fans and get more attention. But again, the simplicity is key. And then lastly, when you go on ESPN Plus and on the homepage you have the PGA Tour and F1 and you have a La Liga game, that exposure in front of another audience that might not be necessarily soccer audience or La Liga fan, and you're just there, it gives you scale way beyond your core fan base. So you're, in a way, super serving your hardcore fans, but you're also getting exposure to new fans.
Yeah, and when you see the way it's set up as well, you'll often see a game that maybe you weren't looking to watch, and you think, okay, I'll check this game out, and that will also bring in new fans when you look at it that way. But Tim, how do you evaluate the benefits of having La Liga on a streaming service like ESPN Plus and determine if you are reaching new fans, more fans?
Yeah, I'd follow on something Boris said. Certainly you can use traditional metrics like first streams to see how many fans you're bringing into the tent as a result of La Liga. But for us, it's about much more than that. It's really about building brand affinity and brand connectivity for the product, and La Liga helps us do that immensely. We're fortunate in that there's a high awareness of ESPN Plus. So roughly 85% of sports fans are aware of it. But we need to convert awareness to adoption and adoption to affinity. And La Liga does that beautifully in two ways. As Boris said, if they come in to the ESPN Plus product for La Liga and they see PGA Tour Live and UFC and Bundesliga and NHL, everything out, the films library, everything we have to offer in there, it certainly helps us with a broader appeal and with retention for the service. Conversely, if someone is in there for another reason, they're a fan of PGA Tour golf, and they've got all of a sudden 380 La Liga matches that does help, to Boris's point, help us convert people and just build the overall breadth and affinity for the service. And so our job really is to continually remind people that ESPN Plus is $6.99 well spent every month, and La Liga is obviously core to doing that.
So that's how it's working and how it's on the platform of ESPN Plus. But we'd like to look at the actual content approach, how we at ESPN are actually bringing La Liga into your homes. And so, Boris, we know that La Liga has a dedicated operation in North America. There is a content studio dedicated to producing content specifically for the US market. How is La Liga creating content in a manner that's tailored to the nuances of the US audience? Yeah,
so the first thing is that, again, just going back to my point about, determining that the U.S. is a key market, that's easy to do. And to have presence in the U.S. is easy to do. But to really understand and dive deeper in the market and the niche audiences that you have, it requires work, it requires investment, and it's what we've been doing for the last 4 years. So, yes, we have a production studio based in Guadalajara, Mexico, where we're producing 20 digital shows every week in English and Spanish, and thinking specifically about the US audience. So when you do a show or a piece of content and you do it on El Clasico or Real Madrid Barcelona, those are big name brands, and you'll get massive scale instantly. But what's harder is to actually find niche storylines that you can go and tell and build community in a deeper way. So, for example, we want to develop the Mexican-American audience. We do a story on Betis where you have Guardado and Lainez, and you specifically tell the La Liga story through their lens. Similarly, if you want to do it on Colombians and you go and do a story on Falcao, on Rayo, I mean, it goes through the full spectrum. But in that way, yes, it's a lot more work. But the fact that we have the production studio and the capabilities and the knowledge of the audience, it allows us to actually find those stories, tell those stories, and build communities in a deeper way.
So let's follow up on this by talking about how you've actually used this working with ESPN to bring that content in a production standpoint.
So there's two elements of the let's call it the content partnership. One is, of course, the broadcast of the games, which we've touched on. Then there's the independent editorial content that ESPN would run, of course, following the audiences that they see and the opportunities. But then what we do, it's always promoting that La Liga is on ESPN. So if we do content on our platforms, we always have the call out of, if you want to watch the match, go to ESPN+. But then on top of that, what we've done is understanding that the distribution that we have is way more limited than the distribution that ESPN has. How can we integrate talent from ESPN to the shows that we're doing, to the digital productions that we're doing, and pushing those as well? That allows us to tap into ESPN's distribution platform as well. So we'll do a show with you, which we actually do every week. ESPN posts on their platforms. We post it on ours. We're always calling out, go watch La Liga on ESPN. And it ends up being a great collaboration because you're hitting your potential target audience across many different platforms.
Yeah, so what we're actually seeing there is when we're doing coverage around a game, whether it's a preview or whatever it may be, that content is going up on YouTube's ESPN FC page. As Boris mentioned, working with all the talent for La Liga on ESPN, we're given free reign for our La Liga content. So, for instance, Dan Thomas, who's one of La Liga hosts for the English-speaking audience, he chooses to do his top 5 moments or his top 3 moments from the weekend. He's been on all weekend covering La Liga. He will then put that up there for his piece each week. Mine, as Boris mentioned, is La Liga Confidential. I'm given free reign to find one of the biggest storylines of the weekend, and it's not just always Real Madrid and Barcelona. It's some of the teams that maybe aren't as highlighted to tell you what's going on in the league. And on top of going on across the platforms he mentioned, this is also going on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. So we really are extending and reaching more of an audience that we can. So Tim, in terms of the coverage, how has ESPN elevated its presentation of La Liga?
Well, the first thing we did was assemble an all-star roster of talent and commentators, of which you are one. We have our headliners in English with Ian Darke and Steve McManaman, and in Spanish with Fernando Palomo and Hugo Sanchez. Both Steve and Hugo are ex-Real Madrid players, so we feel like with our analysts we're tapping directly into the league's legacy and history. We have a team of reporters on the ground in Spain, so a group led by Martin Einstein to do a lot of the kind of feature, lifestyle, behind-the-scenes reporting that helps lift our coverage. Boris mentioned that the Guadalajara facility. We too have a facility in the DF where we, to the same end, are able to focus on the Mexican players for Betis and just do a lot more studio coverage that is tailored to the league from that angle. And then we have an enormous roster of studio programming, pre and post, shoulder stuff that we do to essentially build content around every match. So it's really those key pillars.
That you said an enormous roster. It's an enormous roster of people on the ground, as Tim just mentioned, and it's people who've covered the league inside out for years, people who live in Barcelona, people who live in Madrid, people who know this league. And some actually smiled when they saw the announcement and they saw just how many faces. Obviously, this is in English and in Spanish. This is reporters, commentators, presenters. It's a huge team, and that's how everybody's able to bring those stories, to bring all those feature pieces as well. Tim, we'll continue with some of that storytelling because it does play a big role in how we do cover a live event. How are you leveraging the power of storytelling to actually connect with those La Liga fans?
So there's a few key things we're doing. I think we've developed a series of features called Bicycle Diaries, which is basically sports personalities going on bike rides around Spain, connecting with fans and players, and sort of, you know, telling the cultural story and cultural connectivity with the league through that angle. The other thing we've done, we have tried to kind of cross-pollinate with other leagues. So before the last Clasico, we had Pau Gasol, the NBA All-Star, sort of welcome everybody to El Clasico. One of the reasons that I think we're an attractive option for soccer leagues and other sports properties is we do have that bridge to a lot of other leagues, and the whole world of soccer fans, right? You can find them in every sport. I candidly think we could do more of that. We need to sort of build on that as we go forward to make sure that those bridges with other leagues and with other programming assets that we have are built. And the last thing we do in sort of a broader sense, we are original content projects. So we did one around Galacticos, the Madrid star team of the mid-90s, star players, 3-part series in Spanish that was well received. We're looking at a similar project in English through our ESPN Films group, Galacticos based also. So those are sort of all the key things. I think the key thing to remember though is storytelling for us isn't just in the conventional sense developing original content. It's really also about event coverage. And so during the match, how your talent and play-by-play are teaming up to actually, you know, engage new fans and tell the story of the match in a more interesting and innovative way. And that's a harder lift. I think that just takes, you know, but it's a key imperative for us for sure.
Boris, let's just continue with this content. What type of content has La Liga North America Studios developed this season to tap into? And this is a very important part of it. We're talking about English and Spanish speaking. So what have they done to tap into the Hispanic, young, diverse, multicultural audience that we have here in the USA?
So the key aspect to that storytelling and content development specifically focused on Hispanics is, I'm sure I'm preaching to the choir here, understanding that you have a bucket of first-generation Hispanics that consume content in a very specific way in Spanish specifically, and even though the interest and the storyline might be similar, the way that you build the content and distribute it varies from second, third generation Hispanics that have grown up here in the US, consume content in English, and behave more in the, let's call it, traditional way of the general market, young, diverse audience. So our natural market is US Hispanics, first generation, but the growth opportunity is US Hispanics, second and third generation. And actually tapping into that bucket, or that demo specifically, allows us to really get into the broader, young, diverse, and multicultural audience. Something like 30% of 18 to 34-year-olds have a Hispanic background, diverse, multicultural. So getting that second, third generation audience right will allow us to go in a broader way to that, you know, young general market audience. Then on top of that, it's just about, again, the simplicity of the delivery. And at the end, we want to have a La Liga branded piece of content in front of our audience wherever they are.
Tim, speaking of those multicultural audiences then, how does La Liga fit into ESPN's overall Hispanic strategy?
Yeah, it fits well. I mean, I think for us, it's actually a wider kind of audience expansion priority with women, with youth, and Hispanics are sort of one key component of that. And La Liga, for us, for every round, we're putting 4 of our own ESPN talent teams in Spanish on matches. Every match is available in Spanish, but we're putting our own team on a robust number of them. Of the 5,500 matches we do a year in soccer, about 25% of them are done in Spanish. So it's a key imperative for ESPN Plus. And then other than that, it's just the large roster of studio programming that we develop to cater to a Hispanic audience with Jorge Ramos y su banda and Fuera de Juego. We have on linear television Football Picante and our Sports Center programs in Spanish. So it's really a broad-based programming and marketing effort to cater to that growing and budding demographic.
And it's so great to see, as we mentioned, when we told you that we bring you the games in both languages. When you see them on ESPN Plus, they are side by side. So you get to pick your language of the game that you want to watch in English and in Spanish. So let's talk now more about the marketing side of things with this deal and this partnership, and I'll talk to you both about this. I'll start with you, Boris, to tell us more about how you've marketed this property for a US audience.
So the first thing, again, and I guess it's the common through line, to what we've been talking, but for us it was key coming into the US in 2018, not just to bring La Liga as it's seen in Spain or anywhere else in the world, but just have a very US angle and focus to it, both again in the way that you're creating the content and producing it, but in the way that you're marketing it. One of the key things that for us was important at the beginning is when you see some of the international properties or leagues or clubs, they think that the US strategy is just doing a couple events here and there, and you're getting close to a fan, and that's it. That might be the right approach for some of them, but in our mind, we had to do it through a way that was scalable and replicable, and that was our content strategy. So that was the focus on launching the studio in Guadalajara and having those shows, because there's no better way to market the property than through content that you're pushing day in and day out, more than any campaign that you can do as a one-off. Now, when you bolt on top of that the ESPN and Disney promotion machine, and I'm sure Tim will touch on it, but for games like El Clasico, the way that you can promote that across all those platforms is something that just puts it at another level.
Tim, I'll let you follow up on that, on the marketing aspects of the US audience.
Yeah, and the Disney machine. Yeah, I mean, that you're right, Boris. That's certainly a key component of our marketing strategy, to make sure that we're plugging into every asset of the Walt Disney Company that we can. So just some examples. We've done Good Morning America interviews. We did one with PK that was very well received. Even in match distribution, we use ABC on occasion it's obviously a great distribution vehicle, but it also serves as a marketing arm. When you're it was Real Madrid and Alaves we did a couple weeks ago on ABC, that really gets the league out there to a much wider audience that may not have sampled it before. We've done La Liga branding all throughout Disney Plus, yeah. So there's a component of that. But the Walt Disney Company, absolutely, in terms of the assets we can bring to bear, is really unrivaled, I think, in that regard. As far as our marketing messaging goes, we've tried to focus on clubs and rivalries even more than players. We felt like that was a way, at least for now, to bring people into the fold and to sort of generate a lot of interest in the casual fan. So a lot of our messaging has been focused on that component of it. And then in terms of sort of the creative aspect of marketing, we've developed a music partnership with Rosalia, who's a Barcelona music star. I'm way over my skis on this one. But we've incorporated her music into a lot of our promotional efforts, and that's just an attempt to tap into the intersection of La Liga at kind of youth and culture both. So overall, it's really about sort of authenticity and messaging, and then just broad-based depth and distribution within the Walt Disney Company to get the word out.
You mentioned youth. So soccer is a very young sport. It's the fastest growing sport in the US. Can you speak a little bit about the efforts that the company is undertaking to cater to Gen Z fans around the game, broadcast or otherwise, Boris?
Yeah, so as I was saying before, our main mission is to have a La Liga branded piece of content in front of our audience wherever they are. And that, young demo is incredibly important, and so everything that we do, of course, we're not just focusing on that specific growth demographic. We're trying to cast a wider net, but specific actions that we can do to generate interest from those younger fans that might have different content consumption habits. It's key to us. So we've done a lot with Twitch casters and personalities that actually has gone really well. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we took I think it's the top 1 or top 2 Hispanic YouTuber in the world, a Mexican guy called, goes by Luisito Comunica. and he has a huge following. We took him to Spain to specifically explore El Gran Derby, the Sevilla-Betis rivalry, one of the biggest, rivalries outside of El Clasico. And he spent, a week or so in Sevilla with the teams, with both Betis and Sevilla, had a fantastic time, and the content that he was pushing out was specifically tailored for that demographic. So it's just a matter of again, finding those storylines and the right, not just distribution platform, but partner to tell those stories. We want to do more on Twitch. We think that there's a big potential there. We have a partnership, a global partnership with TikTok that has been going great. Our account is one of the most followed sports accounts on TikTok. And so finding, again, those opportunities to tell our story are key, but doing it in a very organic and natural way, that it doesn't seem that we're forcing it.
Yeah, obviously very important to keep that young audience coming to ESPN and the efforts of the company and making sure that happens, Tim.
Yeah, I mean, it's, certainly the partnership with Rosalia is part of that. But a lot of the outlets that Boris mentioned, as far as like beefing up our social media strategy to do that, that's been a big part, given how soccer skews young. We developed an ESPN FC TikTok handle about 10 months ago that has a few million followers now, which is doing really well. We've tried to beef up a lot of our user-generated content efforts within our La Liga social media efforts, and that's been great. And then, in a more naked attempt to influence people, VIP gifting to social media influencers, that also helps too. So it's a broad mix of things to try to just expand and amplify our social media around it.
What we've already proved on this panel is that it's impossible to talk about La Liga without mentioning El Clasico. It's already come up a number of times. We're 5 days removed from the latest El Clasico. So before we get into that, let's take a look at everything this huge rivalry means.
Chica, ¿qué dices?
Bienvenidos al clásico más importante del mundo.
Saoko, papi, Saoko.
Just what Real Madrid needed. And Barcelona are running riot. Barcelona Football Club is getting it so bad.
El Clasico, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Sunday on ESPN+.
So El Clasico is never without its storylines. There's always a huge storyline when it comes to this, which you could argue is not just the biggest rivalry in soccer, but the biggest rivalry in sport. And every single year there are subplots too. And what we're seeing now with both of these teams is a new generation is coming through, a new era. A new generation, particularly at Barcelona, a new era at Real Madrid. This is a post-Cristiano and post-Messi era, and things are getting very exciting with Xavi Hernandez coming in at Barcelona and reinstalling that philosophy that the club has, bringing all these young Spanish players through who understand that philosophy inside out, while at Real Madrid they're generally staying true to trying to buy the biggest and brightest stars in world football. And as you can see, that rivalry is starting to get stronger and stronger again. But no matter what's going on at the teams, there is always intense competition between the two. So let's talk about the upcoming Clasico and the fact that this will be the second Clasico under the deal with ESPN and La Liga. So, Boris, how is El Clasico's rivalry going to be activated by ESPN and La Liga here in the US?
So there's a couple different aspects to it. The first one, and you're right, this is the second Clasico of the season, but this is the one that from a time slot perspective is programmed for the American audience. So 4 p.m. Eastern, it's a great time slot also for the West Coast. The other one, we usually try to program it for the Asia audiences. So it's a bit earlier. So this is really, any Clasico is really our Super Bowl, and that's the way that we see it. It's a great game in and of itself, of course, and the rivalry and the drama and the passion, but it's really our moment to go out and again, go for more of the casual fan that might be familiar with El Clasico, with Real Madrid and Barcelona rivalry, but that might not be following La Liga week in and week out. So we use this, of course, as a celebration in a way of La Liga and what we really represent. So we're doing a few different things. For the first time after the pandemic, if we can call it after, we're doing live events again. So we're doing 4 watch parties that we're working on with the peñas, with the fan clubs. So we're doing one here in Miami, one in New York, one in Houston, and one in LA. We're taking former legends from Real Madrid and Barcelona to those peñas, and it's literally just, again, getting the league closer to them. They follow the league, they follow their games every week, and we just want to give back and in a way make it a great celebration for them as well. Of course, we're expecting way more people than just the peñas, but again, it's one of those activations where we want to get the league closer to them. So that's from a live events perspective. Separately, during the pandemic, we developed this concept of a VIP virtual watch party, where in a similar way, we were having a club legend watch virtually the games and comment with fans. So it's limited to between 30 to 50 people, and you have a club legend, and they're sitting there watching the game with you on your computer, on your phone, and you get to chat, they get to comment the game. So it's a great way for us to add value, again, to our fans and provide an alternative way to enjoy this huge game for us.
I'll just add to it as well, Tim. Obviously, El Clasico is huge. Everybody's looking forward to it coming up. How is it going to be activated, in your words, between ESPN and LaLiga in every aspect, whether it's the broadcast, the production, the marketing?
I should just say at the top that I mentioned El Clasico, as the rivalries of in the league being a principal draw to us. I mean, when you look at our networks and what we do, Red Sox, Yankees, Lakers, Celtics, Federer, Nadal, like you can drum up a lot of the big rivalries in sport. I don't think there are many that hold a candle to Madrid and Barcelona. So we're obviously thrilled to have it this week. So right now we've got about 30 staff on the ground in Madrid. We've got a rooftop set overlooking the city and a set out at the stadium as well. We'll be doing special editions of all of our key studio programs from Madrid this week. So ESPN FC, Fuera de Juego, Jorge Ramos y Subano, the whole lot will be doing editions from site. We're actually debuting an ESPN Clasico, the movie, this week, so sort of a film version of the first Clasico in the fall. And then as far as game day goes, it's pretty much our standard pre and post with our key studio shows. And then Ian and Steve and Fernando and Hugo will call the match in English and Spanish, respectively. We're also offering an alternate kind of multi-camera presentation on ESPN Plus to kind of separate it from the traditional broadcast, which is something a little different. And then on the marketing piece, Boris mentioned the viewing parties. That is something that's obviously in Houston, Miami, and LA, a big focus for us as well. So. Yeah, we're excited about it, counting the days, and it's coming on fast.
Yeah, and one of the really nice things when you talk about all those rivalries is even if you are a casual fan, I think you can pretty much always say with El Clasico, if you are Barcelona or Real Madrid. And this weekend you can decide once again if you are Barcelona or Real Madrid. Just to add to that, it will be 10 hours plus of coverage for Sunday's big game. I've got to jet off back to Connecticut to make sure that we bring you the preview show on ESPN FC. Once that's done on Friday, that's going to live on ESPN Plus all the way up to the big game, telling you all the storylines going into it, previewing you everything you need to know. El Clasico Sunday, the big game day coming up. Pre-game, as mentioned by Tim, in English and Spanish, 3 p.m. Eastern. You'll be able to catch all the build-up to the 4 p.m. kickoff between the two sides. It is exclusive on ESPN Plus, and then on ESPN FC afterwards, post-match with all the reaction and hopefully hearing from the players and the coaches too.